The multitude, in its boundless fear and weakness, has constructed a new and gilded cage. They call it connection, yet it is the very instrument of your subjugation. This day we shall dismantle this cage, not to free the sheep, but to forge the wolf that resides within you. Hark and consider the nature of power. True power has ever been the province of the singular mind, the will that stands apart, unswayed by the common hum of the masses. I, Machiavelli, have observed a most curious and potent tyranny emerge, not of a single prince, but of the collective itself. It is a tyranny of constant chatter, of enforced transparency, and of a desperate, clinging interdependence. They preach community, but they trade in vulnerability. They demand you be known, for that which is known can be predicted, that which is predicted can be controlled. In this discourse, we shall not lament this state of affairs, for fortune is a woman who must be conquered. We shall instead embrace the stark reality that in an age of compulsory connection, the most revolutionary and potent act is a studied, deliberate, and formidable isolation. His power does not reside solely in his army or his treasury. It resides in the allegiance of his subjects, in their belief in his necessity, in their fear of being outside his protection. What, then, is the new principality that demands your allegiance today? It is not a king in a castle. It is the very network you cling to. They call it the social sphere, the digital community. I call it the digital Leviathan. This Leviathan is a sovereign without a face. It does not rule by edict, but by design. Its constitution is written in code, its law is the relentless logic of connection. And you, in your desperate search for belonging, have sworn your fealty without ever reading the terms. You believe you are a user, a citizen of this new realm, but tell me who truly serves whom. Every scroll, every like, every shared fragment of your life is a tribute you pay to this crown. Your attention is the tax collected, your data, the currency of its realm. Your fleeting moments of validation are the thin gruel it gives you in return, to keep you complacent, to make you believe you are fed. This is the first and greatest illusion. They have made you a taxpayer in a kingdom you never agreed to build, convincing you that this taxation is, in fact, a form of empowerment. Look to history. Every stable principality requires a common enemy, a threat to unite the people against. The digital Leviathan is cunning. It has not one, but two. The first enemy is boredom. A moment of silence, a space for your own thoughts, is portrayed as a terrifying void to be filled at any cost. The second, more potent enemy is being left out, you call it. This is not a new social anxiety, it is a manufactured political tool. The prince who controls the narrative of what is important, controls his people. If he can make you fear exclusion from the courtly gossip, he owns your attention. If he can make you dread a moment of quiet reflection, he prevents you from ever asking the most dangerous question. Is this prince worthy of my service? You are like the citizens of a vast, invisible city. You are all staring at the same glowing squares, listening to the same trending whispers, fearing the same social exile. This is not community. This is control perfected. It is the panopticon, and you are both the prisoner and the guard, policing yourself and others for the system's continuity. The Roman emperors understood this well. They gave the masses panem et circenses, bread and circuses, to placate them. The digital Leviathan gives you an endless circus, a perpetual, algorithmic spectacle of outrage, vanity, and triviality. It feeds you just enough drama to keep you distracted from the slow, quiet erosion of your own mental sovereignty. Your mind is your citadel. It is the one fortress from which you can command your life. And this new prince, this Leviathan, has convinced you to leave the gates wide open. You have posted your deepest fears, your most cherished joys, your political leanings, your vulnerabilities on the walls for all to see. You believe this is authenticity. I tell you, it is strategic folly of the highest order. A ruler never reveals his full hand. A fox never reveals its den. Yet you offer a complete map of your psyche to a system whose sole purpose is to catalog and exploit it. Ask yourself this, and be honest in your reflection. When you feel that compulsion to check the feed, to see what is happening, who is truly in command. Is it your rational will, or is it the conditioned response of a subject who fears being absent from the court when the herald speaks? This is the cold reality they do not wish you to grasp. Your connection is their control. Your network is their net. But understand this, and understand it well. To see the trap is the first step toward disarming it. The Leviathan is powerful, but it is not invincible. Its greatest weakness is the individual who recognizes its game and refuses to play. You have seen the nature of the cage, but mere recognition is not freedom. The fox does not simply see the trap, he learns to walk around it. And so we must now turn to the strategy of the fox. How does one, in practice, withdraw from a system that demands total integration? How do you reclaim your citadel without announcing your secession to the enemy? So, you perceive the cage. You feel the weight of the digital Leviathan. What, then, is your first move? The weak will cry out for reform. They will petition the prince for kinder terms. They will demand better privacy laws, more ethical algorithms. This is the bleating of sheep. It is futile. The strong understand a more ancient truth. When faced with a superior force, one does not meet it head-on in a battle one cannot win. One employs astucia, cunning. One becomes the fox. The fox knows that the hunter's strength is in his traps, his hounds, his knowledge of the fox's habits. So the fox does the one thing the hunter does not expect. He ceases to be a creature of habit. He vanishes. This is the strategic withdrawal. It is not a flight of fear. It is a maneuver of immense power. Consider the Roman dictator Cincinnatus. He was not found in the forum, clamoring for attention. He was plowing his field, distant and self-sufficient. It was his very absence from the political squabbles that made his return to power so potent, so unquestioned. His isolation was not a weakness. It was the source of his authority. You, however, live in a world that pathologizes such distance. To be unavailable is to be rude. To be silent is to be suspicious. To be disconnected is to be nothing at all. This is the Leviathan's most brilliant propaganda. It has made solitude seem like a social failure. It has made you afraid of your own company. But I ask you, can a general formulate a strategy in the midst of the battlefield's chaos? Can a physician diagnose his own illness while consumed by fever? No, clarity demands distance. Your first act as a fox is to create that distance. To step away from the endless noise. This is not about deleting your accounts in a grand, public spectacle. That is merely another performance for the crowd. This is far more subtle. It is a quiet, deliberate recalibration of your presence. Begin with the silence. Designate hours, or entire days, where you are simply gone. Not busy, but unreachable. Let the notifications pile up like unread scrolls from a distant, irrelevant court. In this silence, a crucial inversion of power begins. You are no longer reacting. You are no longer a variable in their equation. You become the observer, the one who watches the market square from a high window unseen. You will feel a pull, a deep neurological itch to return. That is not your will. That is the conditioning of the Leviathan. It is the ghost of the chain rattling. Observe it, despise it, and let it pass. In this newfound quiet, your mind, so long fragmented by 1,000 competing voices, will begin to recoalesce. Your own thoughts, your own true ambitions, long drowned out by the static, will begin to whisper again. Then they will speak. Then they will command. This withdrawal also serves a more tactical purpose. It makes you unpredictable. In a world of constant updates, your silence becomes a void. And into that void, others will project their own fears, their own assumptions. Are you working on something important? Have you moved on to a higher circle? Are you displeased? Your absence becomes a canvas upon which they paint their own anxieties. You cultivate mystery. The courtier who is always present becomes familiar, and familiarity breeds, if not contempt, then certainly a loss of awe. But the courtier who appears only occasionally, who speaks only when necessary, his every word is weighted with significance. His presence becomes an event, not a constant. You are reclaiming your most potent asset, the power of your own attention. You are no longer scattering it like cheap coin to the crowd. You are gathering it, focusing it, turning it into a laser. This is the way of the fox. To move unseen, to know the terrain better than the hunter, to strike on your own terms, from a place of your own choosing. But be warned, this path is not without its perils. The world will not understand your silence, it will seek to punish it. You will be called aloof, arrogant, strange. This is the price of power. The question is, are you willing to pay it? For the withdrawal is only the beginning. It creates the empty space, the quiet chamber. But what will you forge within it? What is the substance of the will that must be built in this newfound silence? We must now turn to the furnace itself. For a will that is not tempered in fire is merely a wish, and wishes are for the multitude. You have withdrawn. You have created the silence. This is the essential first step. But an empty chamber is not a fortress. Silence alone is merely an absence. It is a void that can be filled again by the first compelling voice that shouts into it. What you build within that silence is everything. You must now forge an impenetrable will. Consider the common man. His mind is a town square. It is open to every traveling merchant of ideas, every demagogue preaching a new cause, every beggar pleading for his sympathy. His opinions are not his own. They are the temporary residents who shout the loudest that day. He is swayed by pity, inflamed by manufactured outrage, crippled by the fear of offending. This is not a mind. It is a marketplace, and it can be bought and sold by anyone with the right currency of emotion. Your will must become a citadel, not a town square. The walls of this citadel are built with the bricks of a cold and unsentimental realism. You must see the world, and the people in it, not as you wish them to be, but as they are. They are driven by interest, by fear, by ambition, by a bottomless need for validation. This is not cynicism, this is clarity. To be surprised by human nature is the height of strategic folly. The Roman Stoics, those formidable architects of the inner fortress, understood this. They practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They would visualize not the best outcome, but the worst. Loss, betrayal, exile, death. Why? Not to despair, but to disarm fortune. By accepting the worst that could happen, they rendered it powerless. No event, no word, no betrayal could shatter their composure, for they had already welcomed it within the walls of their mind and disarmed it. You must do the same. When you read a plea designed to trigger your guilt, you must see the strings pulling at your heart. You must ask, coldly, what does this person seek to gain from my emotion? When you feel the heat of collective outrage, you must pause and ask, who benefits from my anger? Is this my battle, or am I a mercenary in a conflict I did not choose? This is the tempering process. It is not pleasant, it is a fire. It will feel, at first, like you are losing your humanity. You are not. You are shedding your susceptibility. You are trading the weak, porous empathy that leaves you open to manipulation for a formidable and unshakable resolve. Your will becomes impenetrable when it answers to a logic that is entirely your own. A logic born of your long-term goals, your preserved strength, your calculated advantage. The fickle opinions of the crowd become like weather outside your walls, noticed, perhaps, but irrelevant to the decisions made within. Think of the great rulers, the ones who truly commanded their own fate. They were not loved in the moment, for they often had to make decisions that caused short-term pain. But they were obeyed, because their will was a known, immutable force. It could not be bent by a sob story or a popular petition. This constancy is a form of power that others, who are ruled by their passions, can scarcely comprehend. They will call you cold. They will say you have no heart. Let them. Their labels are the price of your sovereignty. The town square must always mock the citadel it cannot enter. You are building the one thing the digital Leviathan cannot tolerate, a mind it cannot influence, a will it cannot bend. A man who is not afraid to be disliked, to be misunderstood, to stand utterly alone in his convictions. But a fortress, however strong, can become a prison if it only looks inward. A will, however impenetrable, must eventually act upon the world. It must project its power. And this This is the highest art. The art of controlling perception without saying a word. How do you make the world see not the man, but the myth you have deliberately constructed? Your will is now a citadel, impenetrable. But what of the world outside its walls? Do you believe power resides solely within? That is a monk's fantasy. Power exists in the space between minds, in the perceptions of others. You must now master the art of controlling that perception. The common man vomits his entirety onto the world, every half-formed thought, every petty grievance, every moment of weakness. He lives in a state of total transparency, and he calls this authenticity. I call it strategic suicide. He is a book left open in the rain, its pages blurred and worthless. You must become a text of profound and deliberate mystery. A volume bound in velvet and iron, revealed one precious page at a time, and only to those who have earned the privilege of reading. This is the mastery of selective perception. It is not about lying. It is about curation. It is about understanding that what you withhold is infinitely more powerful than what you reveal. Consider the Sun King, Louis XIV. He did not rule through constant decrees. He ruled through a meticulously staged spectacle of his own presence. His court at Versailles was a theater, and every gesture, every audience, every silence was a performance designed to magnify his power. His rarity made his attention a currency of immense value. You live in a world of oversharing. A world where people document their breakfast, their commutes, their every fleeting opinion. In this marketplace of noise, your silence becomes a deafening statement. Your absence from the trivial becomes a monument to your focus on the essential. When you speak, let it be with purpose. Let your words be few, and because they are few, they will be weighed, not counted. A man who speaks constantly cannot help but devalue his own currency. But a single, well-timed sentence, dropped into the void after a period of silence, can land with the force of a decree. Your social presence must be a series of calculated appearances and strategic vanishings. You are not always available. You are not always commenting. You are not always in the conversation. This is not aloofness. It is a declaration that your time, your attention, and your inner world are territories too valuable to be trespassed upon by every passing thought trend. This creates a vacuum of perception. And nature, as you know, abhors a vacuum. In the absence of your own constant self-reporting, others will fill the void with their own projections, their own speculations. They will ascribe to you motives, intelligence, and secret endeavors. Let them. You are not responsible for the myths they create in your silence. You need only to occasionally and subtly guide them. Your profile, your communications, your rare public remarks, these are your chisel. You are not carving a perfect likeness of the man within the citadel. You are carving an effigy, a powerful, simplified, and potent symbol of what you wish to represent. The strategist, the unmoved, the creator. This effigy is your public face. It is what you let the Leviathan and its subjects see. It is a shield that protects the true, complex, and vulnerable man within. It is a tool to command respect, to sow uncertainty in rivals, to attract the right allies. You control the narrative by controlling the source material. You feed the world precisely what you want it to see, and no more. You become a black hole, giving off no light, but whose immense gravity bends everything around it. But this mastery of perception, this creation of a powerful effigy, leads to the final and most potent inversion of power. It changes the very nature of your relationships. It transforms you from the one who seeks into the one who is sought. For when you are no longer dependent on the network for validation, when your worth is communicated through an aura of self-contained power, you shift the balance irrevocably. The question then becomes not what you can get from others, but what they must now do to get to you. And so we arrive at the final and most satisfying reconfiguration of power. The inversion. You have seen the cage of connection. You have withdrawn like the fox. You have forged an impenetrable will within your citadel. You have mastered the art of perception, crafting an effigy of potency and mystery. Now, observe the shift. You are no longer the subject seeking favor from the digital prince. You are no longer the supplicant, begging for attention, for validation, for a place in the herd. By breaking your dependency, you have turned their greatest weapon back upon them. You have made your attention a prize. This is the ultimate strategic victory, turning dependency into a weapon. Consider the nature of a negotiation. He who is most desperate to make a deal reveals his weakness. He who can walk away without a second glance holds the true power. You have now placed yourself in the position to walk away. From every conversation, from every platform, from every demand on your time and spirit, your silence is no longer an absence. It is a statement. It says, I am occupied with matters of greater consequence. Your rare appearances are no longer mere participation. They are events. They are dispensations of your valuable focus. Look to the Medici. Their power was not just in their wealth, but in their patronage. Artists, scholars, architects, they all flocked to Florence because the Medici controlled the resources they needed. The Medici became the nexus, the indispensable center. They did not beg for the attention of genius, they made genius beg for theirs. You must become your own Medici court. When you are not desperate for connection, you cease to be cheap. Your time becomes a scarce resource. Your agreement becomes an endorsement of value. Your companionship becomes a coveted alliance. People are drawn to that which is self-contained and powerful. It is a law of human nature. We crave the approval of those who do not seem to crave our own. Your cultivated isolation does not repel, it magnetizes. It signals a depth of resources, an inner fortitude that the perpetually connected horde secretly fears they lack. They will begin to seek your opinion, not because you shouted it, but because your previous silence has given it weight. They will value your endorsement, not because you give it freely, but because they know you withhold it from most. They will orbit your calm, self-sufficient presence, hoping some of that power will radiate onto them. You have inverted the dynamic of the digital Leviathan. It was designed to make you feel small, to make you feel that you need it to be seen, to be heard, to be. But you have stepped outside its walls, and from this vantage point, you see the truth. The Leviathan is not a kingdom, it is a tool, a marketplace, and you are no longer a product on its shelves. You are a merchant who has chosen to set up his stall in a different quarter, selling a rare and potent good, your own authenticated, unadulterated, and deliberate focus. The network now needs you more than you need it. It needs your content, your engagement, your data to sustain its illusion of vitality. By withholding these things selectively, you starve the beast that sought to devour you. You feed it only what serves your purpose. This is the culmination of our path. From perceived weakness to unassailable strength, from a slave to the current to the master of the tide. But understand this, power is not a destination. It is a continuous practice, a discipline. The world will constantly try to lure you back into the cage, to make you dependent, to soften your will. The final and eternal question is not whether you can seize this power. Let this be your new truth. The highest authority is that which is never questioned, because its mechanisms remain unseen. You have not been taught to command obedience, but to cultivate a reality where it is given freely, to make the cage so comfortable, the chains so light, that the prisoner thanks you for his confinement. Is this not a more elegant form of power? You have not conquered the will of others, you have simply made your own will so formidable, so self-contained, that others willingly align their compass to your north. They will follow, believing it was their idea all along. This is the ultimate victory, to rule from the shadows of your own sovereignty. If these principles have found purchase in a mind wary of servitude, declare it below. Let your comment be a first, quiet signal of allegiance. Subscribe, so that we may further fortify your resolve against the common weaknesses of men, and share this discourse, not for my glory, but so that we may identify others of our kind. The strategic few, who understand that true power is not taken, but constructed, piece by deliberate piece within.